and welcome back to Small Caps. I'm your host, Jess Fertig, and today we are speaking with Matt Gauci, who's the Managing Director of NickelX Limited. The company's ticker code is NKL. Hi, Matt. It's great to have you on the show.
Yeah, good to be with you, Jess. No dramas.
So, Matt, the company just announced some really interesting results from your new claims in Canada's historic Elliot Lake district. I thought just to start off, for those of our small caps audience that aren't familiar with NickelX, would you mind providing a brief overview of the company and your projects?
Yeah, sure. So NickelX obviously listed 2 years ago on the back of nickel exploration, primarily in Western Australia, seeking nickel sulfide. Obviously, the nickel industry is under some unfortunate pressure in terms of price and sentiments, and so the company is now transitioning into uranium and gold.
Yeah, brilliant. Okay, so that was going to be my next question, Matt, which is the company has made quite a bold move, pivoting from nickel exploration to uranium and gold focus. So whereabouts have you started exploration? What have you acquired? So this move away from nickel, so that first of all, and then the main factor, obviously, you mentioned being sort of pressure on the nickel prices globally.
Yeah, no, it's an unfortunate situation. I mean, clearly Indonesia has an enormous amount of nickel laterite funded by primarily Chinese state-owned enterprises, which aren't necessarily compliant with ESG requirements nor profitability, and so that product can be pumped out really quickly. That's put a huge amount of pressure on the nickel price, as our mates at BHP and various other nickel miners have seen. So yeah, it was quite clear to us and clearly in the interest of shareholders to pivot and transition to commodities which, one, we're very experienced in, being uranium and gold, and definitely had recent success in. And so the Elliot Lake project in Canada is very exciting for uranium.
Yeah, fantastic. So now just talking about Elliot Lake specifically, which is in Canada, those initial assay results are quite promising. How do those results compare to historic results at Elliot Lake and your expectations in the future, now that we have more modern technologies available for exploration compared to historic, what you found there historically?
Yeah, no, good question. So clearly the Elliot Lake district's one of the world's greatest uranium mining districts. Over the last 40, 50 years, we've compiled and collected a lot of geological data, drilling data, currently reprocessing geophysical data to look at what we can do moving forward as potential extensions of that district. And importantly, I think what we need to understand as uranium explorers is that these are very strong and certainly very consistent ore bodies for uranium. Certainly not the high-grade type of opportunities that we're used to in the Athabasca. For instance, the directors have built 92 Energy and merging that into a $300 million deal. But these are very consistent and very easy to explore and drill out. So we're really excited about the potential of Elliot Lake, and the data is continuing to come in from our consultants and contractors to identify more than 3 targets that we've obviously already identified in our recent announcement.
Yeah, fantastic, Matt. Talking about those, you've just mentioned 3 priority targets. So just focusing on that. Now, Crazy Lake is your highest priority target, is my understanding. What specific features, make that area so promising, that particular target?
Yeah, so conglomerate-style mineralisation in uranium is generally going to be very consistent and over a long strike length. There's some really interesting intersections there, which we've clearly announced, between sort of 100 ppm and 900 ppm, which is not necessarily high grade, but would note that as being medium grade. But it's also over a very extensive area. So that is really important to understand, that what we're looking for, Elliot Lake, is a very large scale system, which possibly will be medium grade, but yeah, it's yet to be understood.
Yeah, fantastic, Matt. So now, what are the next steps for exploration at Elliot Lake, and at those 3 targets in particular? And when can we start to expect to see some further updates on drilling or even potentially a resource estimate, for example?
Yeah, no, good question. So currently in discussions with our geophysicists in terms of downloading and reprocessing all the radiometric and magnetic data over the project area. Ontario is like WA. A lot of the data is publicly available and can be reprocessed. So we're in the process of doing that, and that will come up with what we believe might be additional targets. And then come April, which is when the field season opens up in North America, that's when we'll be on the ground doing some field work, mapping, sampling, drill hole siting, and then importantly, getting the drillers organised to get out there and test some holes.
Yeah, fantastic, Matt. And will all of that exploration sort of start at Crazy Lake and then move on to your next 2 targets?
Yeah, no, definitely Crazy Lake is the first target we've got right now. But that'll evolve, and we expect there to be 4 or 5 more priority targets after we do our geophysics review and drill hole siting.
Yeah, that sounds great, Matt. Okay, well, I guess my final question for you today is, can you provide our audience just 2 or 3 key takeaways as to why they should put NickelX on their investor stock watch list?
Yeah, so NickelX has obviously suffered from, unfortunately, the retreat in the nickel price. The board have been smart enough and worked hard enough to pivot out into uranium and gold, as we've announced. The board have been clearly quite successful in uranium, having built 92 Energy and merging that into a $300 million company on the TSX. The board have also been quite successful in the gold space, having sold off Azimuth back in the day in the gold sector to a $300 million odd company. And so now's the chance for us to pivot out of nickel and to get into commodities which we've had huge amount of success in, and projects which we know that we can develop with really good investors.
Yeah, fantastic, Matt. It sounds like the company has got a really good team behind it with the experience, and also in commodities, uranium and gold, which obviously have a far more positive sentiment around that globally than nickel. So congratulations. Well, thanks so much for your time today, Matt, and we look forward to having you back on the show soon.
Good one, Jess. No dramas.